gonna make a water filter out of things you can find along pretty much any river. Your basic materials are gonna be rocks, sand, some charcoal, and some grass. You can use almost anything for your container. Hollowed out log, bamboo is good. Junk that you find floating up on the bank like Coke bottles. I'm going to use a juice bottle because it's clear and you'll be able to see the process a little better. The first thing you want to do is make sure that you've got some holes in the bottom where your water is going to escape. And then you need to get your materials that we've gathered. You want to start at the bottom with some larger rocks. The reason you want to do that is to keep your other material from clogging up your holes. You want to give some air pockets for the water to run past. And then go down to medium rocks. You can use any rocks. I'm using lime because the coarse surface will grab onto the debris and sand and silt better than smooth limestone will, but you can use anything. After you've got a decent layer of larger stones, you want to move on to some small stones. You want to get them as small as you can. After you've got a decent layer of small stones, you want to put a layer of sand. If you walk along most any river long enough, you're going to find some sand. And you have to have the sand. Sand is the most important part of your filter. Pack it down a little bit. Once you've got your layer of sand, you want to put your coals. Hardwood is the best for this. You don't want ashes, you want the actual coals, the pieces of wood that's left. Be careful not to burn poison ivy vines or anything like that. You just want hardwood. Your nut producing woods, oak, pecan are the best. And that'll absorb chemicals and toxins and neutralize a lot of the chemicals that'll be found in the water. Put another layer of sand. And then on top, to catch the large debris like sticks and leaves, we're gonna put some grass. Cloth works better if you have cloth available, but if you're in a situation where all you have is what's on your back and you don't want to spare cloth, you can use grass. As long as you change this grass, you can take it out at least twice a day and put fresh grass. Same thing with the cloth. Every time you use it, you need to take the cloth out and dry it so that you don't have mold or fungus building up. inside the cloth. Everything else you can use in here for a couple of days before you might need to change these coals. But the grass or the cloth, anything that's going to hold the moisture, you need to go ahead and remove that and replace it. Alright, once you have your water filter made, you need to find water. Ideally, what you want to use is collected rainwater, because it'll be the cleanest. If you can collect rainwater and run it through that filter, it's going to be cleaner than what you're getting out of your tap. But if you can't get rainwater, you can always go to a river. You always want to go for running water, never water that's standing still, because it's stagnant and it can easily hold a lot of bacteria, parasites, and catch malaria. Not good. Go for running water. If you're in the mountains or up north where your water's relatively clean, you can take it straight out in the river. I wouldn't advise. Down here, we're in the south, we have runoff from everything up north. Agricultural pesticides, herbicides, manure, sewage. We don't want to drink water out of this river. If you're in a situation, one of these History Channel end of the world apocalypse, pandemic type things where there's corpses floating down the river and all that, you don't want to drink out the river anyway. So what we're going to do, we're going to dig an Egyptian well. What's an Egyptian well? Well, if you remember in your Sunday school class, when the plagues of Egypt came and the rivers were turned bitter, turned to blood, the Egyptians had to dig along the banks of the Nile to get their water because the waters were poisoned. So all an Egyptian well is a well dug right next to the river. But you're digging slightly to the side so that all the sand and silt from the river are acting as a filter, and all you're getting is the groundwater. I'm going to use this to scoop some out. The water table's coming up in it. Kind of nasty, but we're going to dig a little bit more. It's just nasty because I'm stirring it up. That's good to start with. We'll use this. We've got our filter. Let's set it in our glass. Get our Egyptian well water and run it on through. If you were closer, you could see it's sifting through the layers, but we'll let it continue to drip and I'll go get a little more. It's going to take a little while to filter, and you may have to keep adding more at first because that sand is going to soak up a lot of it. The first batch that comes through, we're going to need to filter again for the simple fact that our rocks were dirty to begin with. So as it filters, it's going to pass through those dirty rocks and pick up some of that dirt again. So we need to filter and then refilter the first batch. Now that it's run through once, we're going to take it and run it again. Try to catch some of that debris that came off of the rocks initially. To drop some of that silt. Once it all filters through, like I said, if you're up north where the water's kind of clean, if you're in the mountains, you can drink it straight like that, no problem. Down here, boil it. Always boil it. You don't know what's in it. But this will clear it out, and like I said, if you can collect rainwater and do this, you got it made. You could use a big drum if you have a lot of people and filter a lot of water. This is basically the process that the water goes through at the plants that produce your tap water, only they add a bunch of chemicals afterwards. So once you filter a little bit and you just keep this running, you can filter it a few times if you want. It'll pick up a little bit of sand, but at least all the mosquito larvae and stuff is out of it. And you can drink it. I would boil it first. It doesn't have a smell. I mean, it doesn't smell like the river anymore. taste like anything, so I guess it's okay. We'll see if I die.